Apparently I didn't sleep very well last night. Anyway, maybe I'm just getting older. I'm going to try and get down here so that you can see. We're going to carry on with the build on this today. I'm going to fit some of the front pulleys, the radiator, the coolant hoses, and kind of start fitting up the front end with the idea of getting this all tied up with its fluids, its oils, you know, and everything else required to actually make this thing run, as I'd quite like to get this out and get some driving content done. Oh, I got a sore knee as well. Right, so over on the table, it's freezing, guys. I mean, properly cold. -3 degrees inside the building. I've got a really noisy diesel heater there that maybe takes a very slight chill off, but not, yeah, it's not helping. And the sacrifices I'm making for you guys to follow along with this content mean that I can't have it running whilst I'm videoing because it's just too noisy. As you can see, that's far too loud. Well, I don't know if it is. I'm going to check the audio, but I can see on the little meter on the side that it's peaking into the red. So can't have this on while doing content for you guys. Over on the table, I've got some pulleys. I'm going to go and get my zinc coated bolts. I forgot to mention in the last video what the zinc coating does. Zinc coating just offers an anti-corrosion surface for anybody that was wondering, as I didn't explain, other than the fact that they were gold, that zinc coating actually is an anti-corrosion protection. So almost all bolts that are fitted to the engine from standard would have originally had some kind of zinc property to them, or some kind of galvanizing that stopped it from corroding, which is why they last as long as they do. Right, sorry. Yet another phone call. That's the third phone call in a row that have interrupted that last little bit of video, and I have no idea where we are. So for those of my friends that are watching, and I know you know who you are, stop ringing me during the day to tell me silly things. Anyway, we're going to get back to this. I'm going to fit the radiator up. I'm going to get all the turbo and exhaust system fitted up, or optimistically going to try and do as much of this as possible. When it's this cold, it's quite difficult to get moving because, like that super stick the other day in the video, my blood just turns to treacle. As you can see, I've got a few more layers on today to try and combat it, but it doesn't change the fact your fingers. This trade has got to be about the worst trade for cold hands, I think, because we're dealing with metal all day. So I'm going to start getting some bits organised and start throwing some bits together. You might see quite a lot of time lapse today. This might be a shorter episode just because on time lapse I can have the heater running and you guys can't hear it. So bear with. If there's time lapse, we'll put some nice music behind. And I'm quite into country and western at the moment, so I don't know if you've noticed some of the country music on the other videos. But guys, I'll do what I can today, try and get as much content as I can. And for those of you following along, thank you very much for supporting the channel. If you're here for the first time, please subscribe. And like the video, as it does go a long way to supporting small channels like this and small businesses get noticed and recognised throughout their industry, as this is quite a competitive industry. So yeah, on we go. So I'm collecting the sandwich bag method. This is sandwich bag stuff. I'll put those over here on some flat surface. And there's always a bit of Loctite on all the bolts, especially pulley bolts, as they do enjoy coming loose. Speaking about the sacrifices we make for content, the other thing is, and you might be allowed to do it, I'm not sure, I haven't looked into it, but having the radio on in the background is something I'm a little wary of because of copyright stuff. So when I'm recording for you guys, I work in complete silence. I work in the cold, in the silent. So I hope you appreciate it. As much as I appreciate making the content, I do enjoy myself, so all jokes aside, I do actually enjoy this part of the build, and the beauty of producing content is that I get to sit at home in the warm and edit the video and still feel like I'm working. So there are wins and losses involved in this. And what I'll do with these bolts is I'm just going to nip them up, and then I'm going to torque them up once the auxiliary belt's on. It's quite difficult to get pulleys to stay still. Ooh. Sorry. There must be a turbo in there, is there? We'll come around and have a look together. Alright, I'll come through and have a look in a minute. Yeah. Okay, if you can keep yourself occupied for a minute, and I'll pause this once I've got these pulleys on. I'll come out and give you a hand. I'm actually going to do a bit of footage on the GoPro today as well. Figured we'd switch it up a little bit. As anybody that uses a GoPro, I didn't realise that I've got this GoPro Hero 10. I really hated the way GoPro footage looked because of how wide it was. And anybody that watches like extreme sport stuff will know what I'm talking about. You get this extremely wide lens that looks kind of distorted. And if you've got it on a bench, for instance, with a straight edge, the wide lens makes the bench look like a banana. I didn't realise in the settings you can actually change it to have like a normal field of view. So I'm going to try that today, as I think GoPros do actually produce a really high quality footage, like a 4K footage. I just never liked the lens. So I'll let you know how I get on with that. I'm not sure how many of you are following along that are interested in content, but as it's my new hyper-focus hobby, saying, you know, I've done a bit of content before, but I mean, sort of taking it more seriously now. I've got really into the camera equipment and stuff. Here's a little point to note as well, why it's important to keep all of the old parts until you've finished a job like this, is that the alternators, when you buy them new, often don't come with the pulley. So you have to take the pulley and the fan off the old alternator. So it's always a good idea to keep hold of the original parts, so that you can pinch bits like that, refurbish them, yeah, do whatever you need to do. When you're putting this on, it's important to remember which direction you want the air to go. Once it's that way, that fan spins. And often these come assembled, so you don't need to think about this. Yeah, that way, yeah. So if you put this fan on the wrong way around, and it does fit the wrong way around, you're going to end up pushing air away from the engine rather than into it, which probably isn't actually going to be a problem at this time of year, because if anything, you want your car to get a little warmer. Also guys, I realised the other day that you guys were sort of catching up with us after we've done the chassis build, and as I haven't got anything at the moment that's being built, I can't show you the content of getting a chassis to the rolling chassis stage. So we'll probably skip back to this series when the next project, Gables, goes into coach building, and the coach building element of something, and the bit that I call coach building, is the chassis and the running gear. So we'll show you how to build an axle and the brake system and, you know, everything else involved with the bit that's underneath this. But we sort of joined YouTube when we could, so we'll show you all that another day, but this should give you a pretty good indication of the important stuff. I'm just going to get this tightened up. Very nearly went to the other toolbox again there, even though I stood right in front of the blue one. These viscous fan bolts have got a spring washer underneath, as well as Loctite. Because anything that rotates and vibrates has a chance of coming loose. However, one place not to use Loctite unless you really dislike the person that's going to work on this next is the viscous fan itself. Because if you Loctite that on, you're going to have a real problem. And these are reverse threads, so lefty tighty on this one. And all I'm going to do is just let that contact the face and then leave it, because I will probably take this back off to fit the belt. Just putting it somewhere so I remember where it is. Ooh, unboxing video. Does anybody fancy an unboxing video? Well, that feels very light. Radiator assembly. That almost feels too light. I'm going to do a bit of a myth bust episode, actually, on Britpart stuff. So I don't know if you can see that, but on Britpart parts in general, I think they've got a bit of a name in the industry for being lower quality, which I don't think is entirely right. And it turns out that this is a TD5 radiator, not a 300 TDI. So that unboxing video can wait for another day. That might well put a stop to this episode. I'm pretty sure I've got the right one somewhere. Oh, well that's annoying. So I wonder if I now have two TD5 radiators. I was almost certain that that was the radiator for the 300 TDI. I'm going to go and have a look around and just double check that we haven't now got two TD5 radiators, because the vehicle that I'm working on, Zeus, is a TD5. That radiator is for the TD5. We'll figure it out. I've had two reasonably funny things happen. So the radiator that I brought over was obviously the wrong radiator, but I was racking my brain thinking, I know we have one of these. And for anybody that's keen-eyed and has seen the last video, you'll know that I've got one as well, because it's been in the video 3 or 4 times. I can't do an unboxing video, but I did find it after nearly 20 minutes of looking. I found it. It was on the bench staring me right in the face whilst I was looking on the racks, the shelves, the container, convincing myself that somebody'd stolen it. I got into a conspiracy mode. Yeah, so I have got a radiator. However, I can't find the little rubber bungs that go underneath. So we're going to see if Ian, the guy from the other video, and his Aladdin's cave of parts will save the day again. So I can't find the bungs. I think I'm going to continue and loosely fit the radiator, and then I'll fit those afterwards, because what I'll have to do is get somebody to pick up the radiator and I'll fit the bungs and then we'll put it back. Won't hinder the job too much today, but it will mean that I can make a bit of progress for the sake of the video. No unboxing video today. I think what I'll do is I'll leave the foam on there just as a cushion. And these radiator and intercooler packs are fantastic value for money from Britpart. They come with a plastic end radiator, which is obviously different to OEM. The OEM ones come with brass or copper, I'm not totally sure what they're made out of. But there is an argument that a brand new radiator is far better than an OEM that's 30 years old, that's potentially got damage to all the cooling veins. So I think these are great value for money, and they obviously tidy up the whole front end. Not totally sure how much this one was, but I think they're sub £200. I have just spent 5 minutes warming up all the rubber hoses, as, oh, and they're freezing cold again already. They're kind of difficult to manipulate over where they're meant to go when they're freezing cold, but I think they've cooled down too much, so I'm going to have to warm those up again. Got a selection of Jubilee clips. I'm just going to take these at the other end and get the matching ones and warm these up again. These are quite a handy little tool. It's a Jubilee clip hex. It's actually a 7mm, so you can either use a 7mm socket or these that are flexible, and if you're going to do a lot of these up, it does make for a tidier job, as a flathead screwdriver can sometimes damage the Jubilee clip, so they're about £4 or £5, not a lot of money. So I've fitted some of the coolant hoses. Key point here is this bracket is crucial for a 300 TDI, because we've seen it enough times when that bracket isn't fitted and this hose actually contacts that as it's spinning. So this is a spinning part, and it contacts that and wears a very small hole in it, and then eventually dumps all of its coolant, overheats, catastrophe, Hollywood explosion, and the car dies. So this bracket has got a clamp, a plastic clamp that actually holds the pipe out the way. So I'll show you that again when we actually refit it. Very important. I've fitted the oil cooler lines, and this is the part of the radiator that cools the actual engine oil. It's thermostat controlled. There's a thermostat in there that allows oil to flow when it gets to a certain temperature, and I think it's 74 degrees. So when the oil gets to 74 degrees, it flows through the cooler, and the radiator actually acts as an oil cooler as well. So I fitted that, fitted some injection lines, and then just some other basic hoses. Probably as far as I'm going to get with the coolant side of it today, as I've got to heat the fitter box. I've got to fit the heater box, which is part of the cooling system, which comes off these 2 points here. And then the pipes go into the heater box, which controls the hot air for the car. So I think I'm going to include all of that in this video as heating. So this episode might actually become coolant and heating system. So I'll refurbish that box, and then we'll do a video of putting it back together. And then we'll finish off the cooling pipes and everything else at the same time. I've obviously got to fit the turbo and inlet manifold before I can put any of the induction pipework on, which is the pipework that goes to the intercooler. And for those of you that are not sure what an intercooler does, it cools the charge air. So the whole point of cooler air in a turbo engine is that cooler air is more dense. So the colder it is, the more of it you can get in the engine. And that's the whole point of a turbocharger, is it charges the air, compresses it, and then feeds it into the engine, which just allows it to produce more power. Would you believe all of this produces 112 horsepower? You can actually get a bit more out of them, but that is information for another day. So the charge side of it will all be done when the heater box is done. I'll make sure that I'm better prepared and that I've got more of the parts that are required to actually do this job from start to finish. And then we'll move on to drivetrain, I think would be the next good thing to do. We'll get the drivetrain done, get that gearbox cross member changed out for the correct one, and we'll start thinking about some steering. So I'm going to go to Ian now. Ian, we need to think of a nickname for Ian, don't we? What about Ian Hoarder? His name's not Ian Hoarder, so if you Google Ian Hoarder, you're probably not going to come up with it. Yeah, Ian Hoarder, or Ian's Cave, Aladdin's Parts. I don't know, we could probably think of something while we're driving. This might go on for a little while. We're going to go and see if he's got, and I'm not going to tell him any of this, and actually let's play a little game, let's mess with him a little bit. We'll give him the bare minimum information on the part I need. I'm going to be try and be really, really vague with the parts I need. Not because I've got all the time in the world to mess around, but just I like messing with him. So I'm going to try and be vague. I'll try and think of a way to ask for the parts that I want and see if he can figure it out from the really poor description I give him. So the parts I need are rubber coolant hose that goes between these two places. I need an alternator pulley with a fan. We'll see if he's got a new turbo. If not, I'm going to have to order one of those. Let's see if he has the airbox brackets for the airbox and the 300 TDI. They're just straps with little clips. We'll see if he has a timing cover plate. I actually have one of those, but I'm just curious as to whether or not I can describe it really, really poorly and he can get it. And I have to do this in such a way that he's not going to let on, or I'm not going to let on, or he's not going to understand, because he knows I know these engines better than anybody, and he's going to know if I'm pulling his leg if I go too far with it. So we'll play with him a little bit, but I've got to try and be a little bit careful. What else do we need? I think that's it for now. We'll keep it that and we'll see what he comes up with. Potentially, we're recording on the GoPro with the microphone at a zoom rate or at an angle lens, a lens angle that looks pretty similar to the phone, except on this I can really get in on all the detail. Yeah, this might be quite handy. So we'll try some GoPro stuff and see what the quality ends up like. Something I did find was a friend of mine who's gone travelling actually left his toolbox here, and it is the toolbox that just keeps giving. It's amazing. I found this whole drawer of spare zinc bolts, and I think it's that one. Little random brackets and bits and bobs that you always need. I happen to know that I need one of those, so I'm going to take that. And guys, he won't mind. This is all stuff that he's pillaged over the years. So I'm going to run through that, see if I can find some of the missing parts. Obviously I need to refurbish that, but we can do that later. And that is just the oil return that goes on there for the breather, and then you've got a pipe that goes up and joins it. Obviously it's got some crud in the end, so I'll have to try and make sure that that is completely clear. And it's blocked off at the moment. Yes, I did just put my mouth on the other end of that and blow it. Let's go over and see Ian. Why is that field covered in snow? Nothing else is. Just that one. Makes no sense. I've been trying to think of like weird and quirky names that we can call this place, and what I've come up with is Ian Hoarder's Parts Emporium. Look at all the parts he's got. He's got goodies. See if we can pinch some of that before we leave. Right, I need some bits and you're going to know exactly where they are, aren't you? We'll see. Right, I need, what do they call it? Compresses the air, whoosh. What? No, the other one. Puts the air in the engine, hard, fast. Turbo, that's it. I need a turbo. You got a turbo for 300? Oh, that might be a, no. You got anything? Yeah.
Sadly not.
What about the thing that makes the alternator cooler? Fan, alternator fan, and the pulley for 300.
Possibly.
I'm trying to think what else I even actually needed. Oh, I know. The top of a 300 TDI, the hose that sort of looks like that, sort of goes up.
Goes from the thermostat out into the water.
You got it, yeah. You got it. I'm sure there was 4 things though. And I do need that new if you got a new or a very, very good one. Because I might just get it to start the engine and then replace it later. What's all this stuff? Is there more stuff in the container?
Yeah, I've got a 40-foot container.
Let's go and have a look at that. Sweet baby Jesus. There's some stuff in here. There it is. It doesn't have a fan on it though.
No, because that's a 100 amp alternator.
This is as cold as my workshop. It's like a fridge in here.
Oh, you love this.
What have you found? What have you found? Remember, this is a PG rated video, Ian. Good man.
Yeah. And all the right pulley.
Nice. There we go, I've got a light as well now.
Anyone want a 4 6?
4 points. It's been trying to sell me that engine for about 4 years.
I've got a pipe over there on that 300.
That'll do. That'll get us started, and then I can get the thing running. There's another transfer thing there. You haven't got by chance a rocker cover and an inlet manifold off.
Yes.
You see an inlet?
Yes.
I'm just going to use something while I'm painting the other ones. And that rocker cover's not bolted down, so we could probably just take that. There's an inlet. There's a rocker.
Yes.
I'll take them then. I'll clean them up. I'll just use that to get me going. Let's throw those outside a minute. It's even got the heat shit. Oh, it's broken though, isn't it? Never mind.
I'll give you one of them.
You've given me a brand new one?
Yeah.
That's already come from the parts Emporium.
Yeah. Already come from.
There's another handbrake drum there as well.
What else did you need the other day that you asked me for?
Oh, pass. No, I've got loads of those. It's the other one that I needed, yeah. Is that an auto transfer lever?
Yeah.
Yeah. Overland Journal. What's that then? I wonder, I'm going to Google that when I get back and see if they're still going.
Let's see if they want the doors back.
Yeah. What have you kept old head bolts for? What possible purpose do they have? Or have you just taken them out of something?
They obviously come out of something.
I bet they've come out of that head.
Not this one.
No?
No, this is a 2.8.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I think we should pull that out and rebuild it.
Yeah.
All we'd have to do is measure the bore to check if it was a 2.8 or not, wouldn't it? Yeah, this isn't as cool as your workshop. Your workshop's way cooler. What's that for? Is that a 300? Oh,
Yeah.
I've dropped it. What was it, an Ali Sport one or something? Yeah. Oh, it's an Allard one. Yeah, we're definitely taking that. I think that'd clean up nice.
What did you want? The rock cover on this?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why the rock cover was loose.
Why? Because the head's not bolted down.
No.
Oh, you've taken.
Nicked the rockers out of it.
Oh yeah, you've already. Well, that might be the one you gave me the other day.
Might well have been.
Full set of caps on there as well, Ian, for next time.
Yeah. Standard intercooler?
No, I've got a full intercooler pack.
Big intercooler?
Yes! That's cool, isn't it? Fuck, you've got everything, haven't you? Give it another 15, 20 years in and all this stuff will be worth some money.
It might help it. In 15, 20 years' time.
No. Guys, we're looking for a bonus item. I don't know what yet, but there'll be something that we can find. Where are all the goodies? There's another alternator with a pulley on it. Oh, there's no licorice. Who eats licorice? You don't eat licorice. That's disgusting.
And if you want biscuits, they're fucking
I
awesome.
can't eat chocolate. That's got the heat shield on the back as well. Oh no, ours has got a new one.
That's,
yeah, don't worry.
That's not a 300 one anyway.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I can actually tell because it bolts on the side. Yeah. What have you got that we can pinch? There must be something good in it. Show me your holy grail. What's the one bit you've been keeping for years that one day you must have one bit somewhere that you've gone, I'm really going to use that one day. It's going to be shiny or gold or something. Have you not got the holy grail bit?
It's all holy grail stuff.
Yeah.
There is stuff in here that people have not seen since.
I do wonder what's at the bottom of these piles. And you don't mind me showing everybody your stuffs, do you? Because we're gonna get it all out of here one day and put it on eBay. You know that. So you'll be a millionaire if you sold all this stuff.
Over the next 12 months, it's all going to go on eBay.
Yeah, well, I'll believe it when I see it. I want to be here when you start digging through it, though. You must have a Holy Grail part somewhere. I like that camel trophy thing. Bonus item. Can I have that camel trophy thing? That's a Holy Grail part. Is it cast as well? I feel like that needs to be hung up at Coachman. What do you think? Where have you bought that on, like the market or something?
I got that about 8-9 years ago at New Spares Day.
Oh yeah.
Literally arm wrestled the guy for it.
Arm wrestled a guy for it. Mate, you've got brand new stuff everywhere here, look.
Yeah.
There must be something like a Holy Grail part somewhere.
Drop links for D2?
No, I haven't got any D2s. No. Well, I think we're going out empty-handed, guys. Have you got, and this is a big, have you got any KC daylighters? Because they reminded me, those lights up there reminded me. You know the ones with the smiley face covers?
I know which ones you're on about.
Yeah.
No, all mine are white pack. I do have a box of
Years ago, that was my Holy Grail part. Years ago, I had some KC daylighters and I gave them away to my friend and I've never been able to find another pair since. There's stuff everywhere. Stuff. Oh, we got some of those, except you can get to them, Ian. Christ.
good condition radiator.
I'm surprised you haven't got something shiny, mate. I thought you'd have something shiny. I thought you were one of those guys.
What would I have? Shiny.
There is an upstairs as well, guys, but that's the way up there. I think we'll avoid that today. We'll save that for another Holy Grail adventure. I want you to send me.
Series 3 radiator.
What do you want that for?
You want Holy Grail?
I do. I want Holy Grail. What?
Something that people can't get their hands on.
Go on.
I've got 2 of them.
What have you got? Well, you're about to have one of them, so.
I'm not, because they're both in the box.
Poor bloke. I come up here and I waste his time non-stop. I underpay him and quite often don't pay for parts at all. And then I make him do all this daft stuff for me for my video. What's that? Oh, is this the glass you were talking about?
Pair, good condition, Series 3 windscreens.
Well, there you go. You've heard it, guys. If you need a pair, are they brand new? They're used.
They are second hand.
If you need a pair of split windscreens for a Series 3, don't they fit Series 2 as well, and ones? I don't know if they fit everything. This guy's got some. And a Series 3 radiator if you need one of those. And a 2 1/4 Series. I tell you what, I found something I want to take in. That there. And I'll tell you why. Do you need that? I'll tell you why, and it makes sense because you'll have to help me do it at some point. There's a video, like a resto shop I saw, where they built like the whole door with like cogs and gears and like bits and bobs and welded it all together. I feel like that could be the very start. Ian, what are all those bearings for? What do you need all those for?
Press tools.
Press tools.
There you go. Holy Grail windows.
They're the holy grail of windows, are they? Well, you've heard it here. If you need some, they're still going to be here in
10 years' time.
10 years' time. So when they're super rare.
Because I don't know anyone with a Series 3.
Oh, bugger. Sorry, mate. I've made a mess. Do you want me to tidy that up? Well, we found something. I feel like that'd be quite cool. The ring gear from a diff. What is that? A 24 spline or 10 spline or something? It's a Land Rover part. So I think we start collecting stuff like that, and we'll make some kind of arty piece. I've got a bit. I've got the bonus item in. Right, I've got to go back and get on with some super important work. And you need to tidy up.
There's probably another Holy Grail piece.
What's that?
That is the spacer that goes in 4/7 crown wheel pinions.
You are such a nerd, you know that.
To space the ring gear out.
You are the biggest Land Rover nerd I know. The big, not size. Like. Right, thank you, Ian.
Bye-bye.
Tell me what I owe you. I'll see you later. Just thought I'd take a minute to appreciate how beautiful it is out here at the moment. Sun's just about to go down, and that is almost an end to the day. It just occurred to me on the way home that I've never introduced anybody to our neighbours. So I figured I'll just introduce them. This is right outside our workshop. They're obviously in for the winter now because it's cold, but they're all having calves at the moment. And this is an organic dairy farm. Don't you eat me. They're normally not this friendly. Maybe it's because they've had people in there today. Yeah, and our workshop, as I explained in another video, is the old dairy.